Alright guys, welcome back. I know many of you tried to watch it live, but for some reason it just would not work. So we decided to record it. So we're going to start from the beginning again, and this time we're going to record it and upload it. And again, I'm coming to you guys today. This is just me every day. A nice t-shirt that I probably will work and do some things around the house with, and just being comfortable because I want you guys to be comfortable while watching this. So I feel like, how do we relate to people? We become comfortable because I'm most of the time watching YouTube videos in like my pajamas or something. So, but these aren't my pajamas. It's just a shirt I work around the farm on. So, anyway, let's get into it. Part three from hurt to healing. So I think where we left off, I had just got out the military. All right, when I had got out the military, I was stuck in Kansas. Right, that character that I had created, this drug dealing, selling character that just did not. That's all that I knew. This is the character that surfaced, the character that was hurt, the character that was broken, the character that was angry, the character that felt disappointed, the character that felt let down, the character that had resentment, the character that was just a ball of pure emotions that I had created to be just raw. I had the character that was just numb, the character that just did not care about anything is the one that surfaced. So I found myself doing this again, but then I found myself locked in jail. And as I sat in jail, I felt like I was going crazy. My mind was messed up. I didn't know if I was schizophrenia, if I was losing my mind. I felt angry. My PTSD was flared up. My anxiety was flared up. Like it was bad. And I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was even more caged than what I had already been. So all of these emotions are just surfacing. And I'm blaming this person. I'm blaming that person. It's their fault. But the whole time it's my fault. It is my fault because I didn't understand the path that I was taking was not the path that was meant for me. It was the path that I was created. So I finally get out of jail. I go to court. I get put on probation for a year. So I'm on probation for a year in Kansas. But everything in me is telling me, you got to get out of here. You got to get out of here. You got to leave. You have to leave. You got to leave Kansas. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but it's just a nagging pain. I'm in a relationship with a girl with 5 kids. I'm taking care of the kids. She's on drugs, hardly ever coming home. I found myself just lonely, depressed, full of anxiety, hurt, scared. I can't do anything. All I can do is report to my probation officer. All I can do is go do this. I had no car. I had nothing. I was just there and hurt. Hurt beyond any measure that I could. But it wasn't. But I'm blaming everyone else for my hurt. Well, if this person hadn't done this, this wouldn't have happened. If this person hadn't done this, and my mom went on drugs and gave me better structure, this wouldn't have happened. But the whole time, this is about me. Not understanding these emotions that I'm feeling. My body is starting to deteriorate. My back is hurting. I'm going to the doctor. They're not finding anything. You don't have any messed up muscles. Your spine, no slip disc, no nothing. Nothing's wrong with me. Every time I go to the doctor, the VA's like, there's nothing wrong with you. But I'm telling them, like, I'm hurt. I can barely get out of bed. My back is hurting so bad. My legs are hurting. Everything is hurting. My body's starting to fail. My throat's hurting. My head's hurting. Like, and there's something is still, you got to get out of Kansas. You got to get out of Kansas. So I finally just said, okay, I'm going to do this. So my next probation office meeting, I met with my probation officer. And I told him everything. And he looked at me and he says, I don't know why, but you're not supposed to be here. I am going to give you permission to go home. And I am even going to switch your probation. We're going to work on expunging your record. And we're also going to make sure that you don't have to report in to do drug tests. But what you will have to do is find a mental health doctor. That's the first thing I want you to do when you get back to Alabama. I said, okay. So I can work with that. But I didn't have anything. I didn't have no car. I had no money. I had nothing. I was caged. I was locked. I was stuck. So finally, I called my brother. He can't do it. Of course, I know he got kids. He's working. He's providing. He's being the father. So something said, call your cousin. So I called my cousin. Hey, cousin, I need you to come get me. This is the situation. Don't you know my cousin dropped everything she was doing? She drove 12 hours to Kansas nonstop. She didn't pass go. She didn't collect $200. She pulled up, honked the horn. I got in the car and we turned around and drove back to Alabama, all within a day. That's how fast. But during the time of waiting and trying to figure it out, I had a neighbor that knew what was going on. This neighbor was like, you can come stay at my house. So I went to this neighbor's house, and nobody would really mess with her husband. So as people were looking for me, they could never find me. She was like, I ain't seen them. I don't know where they at. I don't know. I thought they were. She started telling people, I think he's going back to Alabama. I think he's going back to Alabama. Until my cousin could come get me. When my cousin got there and I got back to Alabama, when I returned to Alabama, I had one pair of shoes, a pair of pants, and one pair of shorts, 2 pairs of underwear, and 2 shirts. No ID, no license, no nothing. I was at the lowest point I had ever been in my life because of me. I can't blame anybody else. I can only blame myself because this was not my path. So I was like, what am I going to do now? Now I don't have anywhere to go. My brother's like, you can come live here. I was like, okay. So I went to my brother's, and my brother had a 2-bedroom apartment, and he had 2 kids, his wife, and himself living there, and my mother. So when I got there, I was like, I'm just going to sleep on the couch. Thank you. And it is what it is. And he was moving into this apartment from the house he had lived in. And I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I was just stuck. Like, I felt defeated. I felt depressed. I had anxiety. I felt betrayal. I felt hurt. I felt resentment. I felt anger. All of these emotions I felt. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have anything. And I never forget my brother looking at me and he's saying, you have to get up and put yourself in motion. I said, okay. I had a motorcycle. So I got up. I got on my motorcycle. He's like, and I had gave it to him. He was like, use the bike. So I got on my motorcycle. I went down to the DMV, got a driver's license because he gave me some money. He was like, here's some money. Go get a driver's license and whatever else you need so that you can find a job. I said, okay. So I got on my motorcycle. I drove down to the DMV. I got a motorcycle. I went down, I think it was Boost Mobile. I got a cell phone. And then I started applying at all these jobs. And then the next job I found was like a housekeeper. And so they hired me as a housekeeper. So I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. Even in snow, I would ride this motorcycle to work or I would walk. That's all that I had. All that I could do. But it was something about being on that bike and being in nature. I started to kind of come back alive. Then my best friend came around. She was like, let's get you at the house. Let's find things for you to do. We started going on walks. We started just hanging out. She would call and check on me. But I still had so much emotion. So what I started doing was tucking these emotions back down. Let's tuck them back down. Let's put them back away. We got to adult. We got to live in this 3D construct. Okay, so when I'm in this housekeeping job, I'm, of course, me working, I'm putting everything I can in there. I did not like this job. But what that job was showing me is not the housekeeping that I was doing on the outside, but I needed to be doing housekeeping on the inside. I needed to be awakening on the inside. But I couldn't see that at this moment. I think I'm like 26 at the moment. So I worked this job. Then I was applying for others. Then I got hired at a job at Red Robin. Cool. So now I'm a hostess at Red Robin. I've elevated. Okay, now we're moving up. We're a hostess at Red Robin. I got back into playing sports. I was playing football and softball. I had everything I needed. And then I got to live with a friend who needed a roommate. So now I moved out of my brother's. I got my own place. But I'm still just downwardly spiraling inside. My body is still hurting. I'm exhausted. I don't feel good. But I'm still just pushing on them like I got to push through this. I can do this. Push through this. Push through this. So I did that. And then next thing I know, it's crazy how everything started changing with all these emotions I'm holding in. So next thing I know, I started dating this girl. I met her. She lived in Tennessee. It got serious. I found a job in Tennessee at Lowe's. That was my next job, was at Lowe's. So she was like, you can move with me. So I moved in with her and I'm at Lowe's and I'm working part-time and back as receiving. But because these emotions were so strong, I started putting all everything into this job. Next thing I know, I'm promoted quickly. I'm from part-time to full-time. Now full-time stalker. Now I'm full-time stalker to backroom LTR. I'm doing the receiving and stuff, putting up the freight that comes in. From there, I got promoted to MST, which is doing resets in the store. From there, I got promoted to manager. Now I'm the manager of the team, and I just started elevating. So I've hid these emotions. I buried them, but now I'm drowning in work because I'm putting everything into my work. But there's always a twist, right? There's always a twist. So what was the twist? Well, the twist was that this girl started cheating on me. One night she said she was going to a wedding and she was going to see another girl when she had a bad wreck. She didn't want me to come see her, even though her mom called because she was with this other girl. I was like, damn. So here comes these emotions again. Like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Why am I so bad? Why am I fucking up? Why am I doing this? Why does everybody not like me? Why does everybody, at least y'all see this, y'all see the orbs floating? Why does nobody like me? Why does nobody not want to be with me? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? That's the thought process that's going through my head. So I'm still working at Lowe's, and she's like, you got to get out. She can barely walk. The wreck was bad. She's like, I don't want you here. You got to get out. So now I'm back to being homeless. But I wasn't homeless for long. So that day at work, I was actually down in lumber. And if you listen to this is how you're divinely protected. I didn't understand what was happening, but I knew that every time I need something, every time I needed to make a way, each next step in my journey, something was providing for me. So I was like, I don't know. So I'm down in lumber. This guy, black guy, comes up and he's looking for something. And I was like, sir, what can I help you with? And he told me, I said, oh, it's right here. Let me get it for you. Just customer service. I don't even work in the lumber department. I had no business down there. I don't know what I was doing down there. Probably going outside to sneak and smoke a cigarette because that was back in the day and I smoked a lot of cigarettes. And he looked at me. He said, you seem sad. What's wrong? So I told him, I said, I don't have a place to live. I'm new here. I don't have a car. I don't know what I'm going to do. He says, well, I rent homes. I have a rental home that you can rent. I said, well, I don't have the money to pay you. He said, don't worry about it. We'll add it to the rent till you get caught up on the deposit, and then your monthly mortgage will be $500. $500. He said, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. He said, it's in a place called Cowan, Tennessee. He's like, feel free to rent it. I said, yes, sir. Thank you. I said, when can I move in? He says, I got the keys on me right now. Here are the keys. I'll come by later on this evening with a rental agreement of the payment. He never gave me a rental agreement, but every month I paid him. I did not miss a day. And now I had a house with a big ass yard with everything I needed, but I didn't have a car. So I had football practice that evening. So I went to football practice and it was the same thing. I was practicing. Everybody's like, you don't have as much fire about you. What's going on? So a lady, which knew my mom, which knows my family in Gaston, I was talking to her. I said, well, I just got a new job. I got promoted at my job. I lost my relationship. I just got a place to live, but I don't have a vehicle. I said, so I'm not sure how I'm going to make this work. She says, oh, I got an old Lincoln. You can have. I said, I don't have money to pay you. She said, don't worry about it. When you get money, pay me until you get this much. So how much you going to sell it to me for? She said, $1,500. She said, if you got to pay me $20 a paycheck, then that's fine. When you pay it off, it'll be yours. I'll give you the title. I said, okay. So we left football practice and now I got a car. So not only do I got a car, I got a place to live. I got promoted at my job. So things are starting to elevate, but I'm still holding these emotions. My body is still tired. I'm still aching. And so when I moved into this house, I had no furniture, nothing. All I had was my clothes. And I would pile my clothes up on the floor and stuff them in a pillowcase for a pillow, and that's how I slept. And then next thing I know, I had a friend that was like, hey, I got all this furniture I need to get rid of. If you're interested, I said, I can't pay you for it. She says, I'm going to give it to you. She said, I will gift you a whole house. She says, all you got to do is help my husband unload it. I said, okay. Now I got this fully furnished house, a bed, but I'm still holding these emotions. The universe is steady providing, steady guiding me. I'm going to cry just thinking about this story. Steady giving me what I need. But this whole time, I'm not understanding what's going on. So I went down that road. And then, of course, here comes the next relationship. And it was like the things that I needed to heal from was being attracted to me in these women. So I started dating this girl. Come to find out she got this crazy ex. He drives a train, and the train runs right by my house. Every time he passed by, he'd lay on this horn, like uncontrollably. So, of course, that relationship didn't go far. We separated, and it was just from there, I just knew there was something. So I'm drowning in work. I'm getting promoted. My next promotion, I got promoted in Tennessee at a store called Smyrna as the manager. From there, I got promoted back, and then from there, I worked there for a couple years, and then something was telling me, go back to Alabama. I was like, okay, I need to go back to Alabama. At this point, I've been in a stable relationship with this girl, and it just was not jiving. Something was off, but, that's neither here nor there. These relationships was failing, so so I applied for this store in 1414 in Alabama, in Athens, Alabama, as a delivery manager. I was getting out of merchandising, going back into delivery. I got hired. So now I got to move to Alabama. So I pack up. I found a house in Alabama. I found a rental agreement. Beautiful house. Beautiful people. I absolutely love the neighborhood. And I moved back to Alabama. And from there, that's when it really started to get deep. Because these emotions were unsettling. Things that were happening to me were not normal. So let me go back to this house in Cowan. When I would go to sleep at night, my dogs would bark at things that I could not see, like growl bark, ruff, 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 ruff. Like it was bad. And I feel like whatever was there intentionally wanted this dog killed because I had this beautiful lab with long hair. And one day she got let outside and the neighbor captured her and killed her. But this dog was protective of me. She protected me. And I feel like she's back in my lab I got in here. Same dog. He agreed. But it was like, it was protecting me at night because I couldn't see these. There was so much energy around me and so many things happening. This dog in the middle of the night would lay in the bed next to me and she would growl and bark at these beings. And I was like, Sophie, stop, go to sleep. I'm trying to sleep. But she wouldn't. It's like she protected me. And if they got close to me, she would lay her full body on me. And I didn't bother me. I never told her to move. So finally I found somebody to rent that house and then I moved. And then when I moved back to Alabama, I went to a place called Tullahoma, Tennessee. I lived there for a while. Same stuff, just back into smoking weed, not dealing with these emotions, partying, just so much ego. It was leading me. I was led by pure ego. It was just bad. It was bad for me. So then I moved back to Alabama, and that relationship that I was in, I'd had enough. Like it had become like really bad. So I had enough. And at the time, I was just sitting with myself. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to look. I didn't know what to do. I had started watching this psychic online. I'm not going to say his name, but it's triggered something in me to start looking into some things. So I did. And so this is where we're going to leave off this story at today. Namaste. See y'all next time.